Okay, it's time to check my email. Let's see what I got. Melissa, what are some of your most favorite teachers? Okay, next email. Melissa, what are some sound teachers that you would recommend? All right, next email. Melissa, what are some sound teachers that you would recommend? You know what? I'm just going to make a video out of this. I'd have to say daily in my inbox, I get asked this question. So I made a top 10 list of my personal favorite teachers, pastors, and apologists. Everybody's going to have a different list. Just letting you know that now. This is my own personal top 10 list of teachers, pastors, apologists that have given me good information and have helped me grow and answered a lot of my own questions that I had. And in case you don't know what an apologist is basically somebody that defends the Christian faith. I guarantee that you have asked questions that your normal, everyday, general Christian apologist has heard before, and they basically spend their life trying to answer these questions. Now, I have to admit, it was going to be a top 5 favorite list, but the more I wrote down names, the more I realized it's not possible for me to make just 5. So I expanded it to my top 10 favorite. And even then, there's a lot more names I could give to you. These are in no particular order. I'm not going to put number 1 as my favorite, number 10 as my least favorite, because that's just impossible. The order that I give it in is irrelevant. And then at the end, I'm going to give some honorable mentions, because giving 10 just wasn't enough, and I can get away with honorable mentions. All right, number 1 is John Lennox. John Lennox is one of the most brilliant men I think I've ever heard speak before. He's an Irishman, so his accent just makes it sound that much better. But he's a mathematician, and he has been involved in many debates between many atheists, and his arguments are so sound and easy to understand. He's also a fantastic writer. He just came out with a book. It's called 2084. And the title is brilliant, because if you have read 1984, you can understand what he's getting at in the title of his new book, 2084. His specialties that I see are science and philosophy. So if you like those kinds of things and you really want to hear an intelligent answer for Christianity, design, how it fits with philosophy, things like that, I highly recommend that you look up John Lennox, read his material, and watch his videos. Number 2, this person has turned into a favorite of mine in the last year, Alisa Childers. And if you think you haven't heard of her, you maybe have. She used to be a singer of a band called Zoe Girl, and she was recently in one of my favorite documentaries, American Gospel 2. I was really impressed with her knowledge about progressive Christianity and also her speaking skills. She's now turned into one of my personal favorite apologists and teachers about progressive Christianity, which is a lot like New Age. She has a podcast, and I believe that she is just now starting to use her YouTube channel as well. I highly recommend that you go check those out to further your education in progressive Christianity. She has a lot of knowledge and information about this movement. Number 3 has been a favorite of mine since I can remember, Sean McDowell. Some of you might be familiar with his dad, Josh McDowell, but Sean McDowell has his own edge to him that I really enjoy. Sean is probably the type of person that you could pretty much be any person and be comfortable going up and talking with him and asking him anything, knowing that he's probably going to do everything he can to see this from your perspective and deliver the information in a way that you can understand. He's very passionate about reaching our youth as well. So he does have a way of reaching the younger generation and being very sound in his theology and doctrine when he's sharing it. He's one of the more well-known apologists out there. I know he does do speaking engagements at churches as well. He has a YouTube channel, and he also has a lot of the information that he shares on his Instagram. Number 5 is Natasha Crain. Natasha Crain is an apologist, author, and blogger, and also a mother. And her main interest and her main passion is to reach out to parents who want to teach their children about God. She has written many books about this, and one of my favorites is Keeping Your Kids on God's Side. It goes through certain questions and conversations that you should have with your children so you can inoculate them for the world out there. Personally, this is something I'm also very passionate about. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you have seen that I have posted certain Sunday mornings where I'm teaching my children about, pretty much anything that they want to learn about. We learned about shamanism. We learned about New Age, all these things that they're going to be challenged with as they grow. And Natasha Crane is a really good resource for your children and for you to know how to talk to your children about these hard questions that they will have. So her emphasis is on apologetics for parents. You can follow her on social media, and I also highly recommend that you go check out her books as well. Number 6 on my list is Greg Koukl. Greg is like an ultimate triple threat. I don't know if there's anything this guy doesn't do. He's a great speaker. He is an apologist. He has a radio show. He has written many books, and he's also the founder of a ministry called Stand to Reason. This is one of my favorite podcasts to listen to because callers call in and he answers these questions. And I always found his answers to be very different, off the beaten path kind of answers that we hear, and they really stick with me. So if you're looking for a great podcast, good books, you're looking for somebody to give you more reasons to believe what you do and how to defend your faith, I do highly recommend Greg's podcast and his books as well. Some of you know who Greg is because I had him on my channel not too long ago talking about his re-release of his book, Tactics. I think that this is a really good book for you to read to know how to share your faith, how to question other people's faith. He also has another book called Story of Reality, which is really C.S. Lewis-y in the way that it's written. Next on my list, number 7, is Mike Winger. Mike Winger is a friend of mine. I have done a few videos with him in the past. We did one on the Passion Translation, and we also did a really highly requested video about scriptures that are taken out of context in the Word of Faith movement and in the New Age. Mike is a pastor from California. Some of you might be familiar with his channel. He has a very popular YouTube channel, and he is very knowledgeable and really well-spoken. He does his homework, and he delivers the information in a really well-rounded, loving way. Mike has not written any books that I know of, but you can check out his YouTube channel as there is a plethora of information on his channel that has been very helpful for a lot of Christians. Next on my list at number 8 is Allan Parr. He is very similar to Mike Winger and many of the topics that he covers, and he also has a very popular YouTube channel as well. He does have a Master's of Theology degree from Dallas Theological Seminary. He's also an exemplary Christian, in my opinion, in the manner in which he shares his information and how he can do it in a loving, balanced way. I watch a lot of his videos, and one thing that I really like is that they're not terribly long. You can get a lot of information in his videos in a very short amount of time. And there's a lot of them. You can go to his channel right now and there's hundreds of them that you can find that will give you really good information. And I believe he does give away a free ebook as well. Next on my list at number 9 is J. Warner Wallace. I don't even know where to start with this guy. He's an apologist. He's also a cold case homicide detective. He's an author. He's a speaker. He had a short part in God's Not Dead 2. So in that sense, he's, I guess, an actor. I believe he even has his own blog. He posts so much information about Christianity that he's almost a one-stop shop when it comes to getting information. He's a fantastic resource. And he's also really passionate about reaching the youth as well. So what Natasha Crain does, J. Warner Wallace also tries to do as well. He has written a few books aimed at children to teach them how to defend their faith. I own one of these books. It's called Cold Case Christianity for Kids, and it's a really fun and simple book to read for the kids. And the idea is to learn how to problem solve, ask good questions, kind of think about why you believe what you do and how you come to conclusions. One of my most favorite books is written by J. Warner Wallace. It's called Forensic Faith. I think all Christians should read this book. It's a book about why you believe what you do, how to share what you believe, and basically why apologetics is so important in the Christian walk. He's also a really entertaining speaker as well. I think that J. Warner Wallace just says it how it is, and that's that. You can find him everywhere. He has a ton of social media links. He has a YouTube channel. You can find him on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere that you have a social media. I can almost promise you that you will find J. Warner Wallace and his material. Last on my list at number 10, but definitely not least, is Frank Turek. I have never seen a speaker or met anybody like Dr. Frank Turek. He has a very successful ministry called crossexamine.org. This man and his team travel the United States, going to college campuses, churches, giving a presentation called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, presenting the case for the Christian worldview, and then afterwards takes questions from the audience. And he films all of this. You can find a lot of these videos, the Q&A videos especially, on their YouTube channel at Cross Examined. He is an author, and two of the books that he's most well known for are Stealing from God and I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, which he co-authored with the late Norman Geisler. Now, I have to tell you, I have read both of these books, and especially Stealing from God. It blew my mind. It was a really eye-opening book. There are arguments in there that I've never heard before. And I don't cover a lot of things with atheism. I don't do a lot of apologetics in that sense with atheism. Dr. Turek, in my opinion, is one of the best resources that we have to combat the culture and also atheism. He is, as of now, one of the most well-known apologists out there. Now, if you've never seen Dr. Turek speak, he has a very commanding presence to him. And it is impressive how he can hold his own in these debates between atheists, which he has done many of, by the way. You can go online and find many debates that he has done. And you can also find similar debates done by John Lennox and William Lane Craig. He doesn't mess around. He will definitely debate his position, and he will debate it with a lot of passion and knowledge. But you better know by the end of the debate, he is taking his atheist friend out to dinner afterwards, laughing and talking with them, knowing that that is still a person that needs Jesus. Frank does have his doctorate of ministry from Southern Evangelical Seminary, which is where I go. And he also has a radio show and podcast that you can listen to, which I think they just changed the name to I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, but you can still find it under Cross Examined. Now, speaking of William Lane Craig, I'm going to kind of mosey on and sneak into my little honorable mentions here. So it's basically a top 10 list, but I don't think you guys mind. I won't go into a lot of detail about these honorable mentions, but it is really hard not to mention 20 plus teachers in this video. I did mention before William Lane Craig. He is probably at this point one of the most well-known philosophers, apologists, and debaters of our time. I will say, though, that some of his information isn't Christianity 101 stuff. For the new Christian, I think that a lot of his work, a lot of his writings, some of his debates even, may not make sense to some Christians, but this definitely doesn't mean that we shouldn't read his information and see what we can get from it, because he's really sound and really on point. Next honorable mention is somebody kind of controversial, but I love this guy, James White. Dr. James White is pretty outspoken, and I'm pretty sure he can smile. He is full of knowledge, but I have read so many books from Dr. White. I have seminary professors that do read his material and get a lot out of it. I do as well. If you don't know, Dr. James White is a pretty outspoken Reformed Christian. I have no dog in that fight. I'm not Reformed, I'm not Calvinist, but I think Dr. White has been around for a long time. I have read his material. I have watched him on YouTube. I have listened to him even before I knew he was Reformed. I just liked his information, and his delivery of it was very clear. He does have a very firm stance, so some people kind of get turned off on that. But for me personally, he is on the honorable mention list because I do think a lot of his stuff is very useful and educational, especially his books. Last on my honorable mention list is Paul Washer. Paul Washer is a pastor, but he's also probably one of the most genuine speakers I have ever heard. I have never heard anybody talk like Paul Washer does. That man loves Jesus. I think that he's a really exemplary pastor because he will tell you the truth, and he's not looking for glorification. He doesn't care. He loves Jesus, and he wants people to know who Jesus is, but he also really, really needs you to know that you need to repent of your sin. He knows the gospel. He knows how to tell it. And he also knows the need for Americans, especially, to hear the gospel. This man just bleeds the gospel. So there you have it. That's my top 10 list, my top 10 list. I hope that was enough information for you on each person. I will leave tons of links in the description of this video for each person that I mentioned, for you to find them, to follow them on social media. I hope God can use them and their material to teach you and edify you and help you grow in your Christian walk.